Welcome in, latest episode of that SEC podcast. I'm your host, Michael Braden. I go by SEC Mike on Twitter. And that is, of course, cousin Shane, the big Tennessee Homer, who goes by Big Orange Vowels on the Twitter machine. What's up, you old Tennessee Homer?
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Oh, man, it has been too long here. Monday night, we're recording. We are 30 days out from SEC football. Well, I think it's tomorrow, right? But
yeah,
whatever.
Tomorrow's 30. Yeah.
We're a month away. And, man, I couldn't be more excited. How about you?
No, I can't either, man. You know, it's funny because you can just feel it. You can feel it online. If you can filter it between all the political ads and tweets, you know, there is a lot of hungry football fans. I am one of those. And like you said, Mike, it's unbelievable. I mean, I always say this. Like, it's the longest off season until it gets here. It's like, man, it really went by fast, you know? That's kind of what it feels like. But we're in the fast lane right now. We got kids going to be getting on campus here in the next week or so. And buddy, it's on from here on out. College football every freaking Saturday.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of Boomer Sooner in the comments, a lot of Gators, a lot of Mizzou. I mean, man, people are fired. Everybody's undefeated right now. So this is the sweetest time. Talk your trash. Bash all your coworkers here, and then comes early September, we're going to hide away if our team loses.
Next year's our year, man.
So, again, hey, it's been pretty slow out, which I anticipated, Shade, but you just never know when there's going to be a scandal or who knows when, but it's been pretty slow out. So what we decided to do for this episode, we're going to do another mailbag edition of the show. If you got a question for us that you want answered, throw us a donation of any kind, and we'll get to it. We got a ton of donation or questions already queued up and ready to go. And the first one, Shane, this is gonna hit you where it hurts, brother.
Yeah.
There's so many comments I can't even keep up with it. John Montgomery, fresh out of the mailbag here, Shane. When are you guys going to continue the preview series, especially Kentucky? I'm ready for Cousin Shane to bless us with that Mizzou energy from last year. Will you tell the folks when the Kentucky one's coming?
Yeah, I appreciate that, cuz he's basically saying, when you guys go get your ass to work, get off the video games and get on there and do some work. And tomorrow is Kentucky, so be sure to tune in. We're gonna hit all of them as we're gonna try to get to all of them here right before the season cranks up. But we haven't forgot about the previews. It's just media days kind of got in our way, but now we're starting to think about the upcoming season. So be sure to tune in tomorrow, especially if you're a Kentucky fan.
Right. So be on the lookout for that, as well as many, many, many others coming your way. So appreciate the question, John. But how about this one, Shane? Loyal listener. One of the biggest Arkansas fans out there, Hot Rod, Justin, you know who you are. Is Arkansas's defense underrated and more of an X factor than people think? What's your thoughts on that, Shane? Could Arkansas, I'm going to throw up some of their figures here that I've got booked up, but could Arkansas defense, are we sleeping on that defense there in Fayetteville?
You know, it's hard not to say yes when you talk to the hit man. You know, I mean, I felt a quiet reserve with him, a quiet confidence about that defensive, especially that defensive front.
Yeah.
And you know, that's honestly, if you have a good, tenacious defensive front, it makes the rest of the pack better. And I know everybody's worried about the linebackers and whatnot, but I don't know, man. I think people are sleeping on it, and I'm one of them. I'm not going to lie. After that spring game, I got so pumped up. I got so enamored by what Green was doing out there. But part of me wanted to kind of blame the defense a little bit. I think that's important for Arkansas, kind of coming in as that underdog with those low expectations.
Right. And, you know, I think you mentioned exactly where I wanted to go with this, Shane. I mean, I think Arkansas defensive line is going to be pretty solid.
Yeah.
And if we're going to build an SEC defense, give me a line over anything else. So that's a big positive, but let's keep it real. There's negatives too. And you know, somebody at Media Days, not necessarily our opinion, but somebody at Media Days said, who was it? Like Phil Steele maybe rated Arkansas's linebackers as the worst unit.
Yeah.
Not in the SEC and all Power 5, which I guess Power 4 now, what have you. But again, that doesn't mean anything. I mean, they could emerge. They had a couple transfers come in. They could be significantly better. And again, if the defensive line is as good as we think they can be, that's going to severely help out those linebackers. But so it's truly a mixed bag, Shane. And they lost some defensive backs to the NFL. I love the defensive coordinator hire last year, Travis Williams, bringing him in. And the impact he made, but then again at the end of the season we kind of fell apart. So I don't know. This is a very, very tough one. And let me throw up the schedule real quick for the Razorback, Shay. But there's an opportunity right out the gate. If I can find this freaking schedule here, maybe I don't have it anymore. Anyway, Shay,
it's in our messages, DMs. You sent me all of them. But while you're pulling that up, Mike, one thing I will say about Arkansas is when we get to the end of the year and we're judging what Sam Pittman did, a lot of people have a tendency to talk about I'm one of them, man. We get enamored, like I said earlier, about the shiny new toys, right? But it is that defense that kept them in a lot of games, and those one possession games where the offense will excel. Bobby Petrino and company, I think, are going to excel, and I think that's going to make the defense look better. Just the fact the offense has some more life to it.
Right, and what I was trying to get to, so Arkansas, Pine Bluff, will blow their doors off. Oklahoma State again. That's going to be tough. Some people say they got the best offensive line in that league. Some people think they have the best running back in the country. So, again, you know what you're getting yourself into. But UAB, and hell, let's even throw Auburn into this mix. I'm not trying to totally trash Auburn, Shane, but where did Auburn struggle last year? We all know it's the offense. Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying there is an opportunity of your schedule. If I'm looking at it as a 4-game stretch where we can get some momentum on the defensive side of the football, it is that first month over any other month on the schedule.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, look at the games that are at home, Mike. I think if you were to say the weaker opponents, most of them you're going to face on the road. Now, I know Mizzou's sitting there at the end, but you got Mississippi State, you got Auburn, you got Oklahoma State, quote unquote A&M. But I do think that if you can manage the home games, and I know that they're not all technically home, they're kind of bouncing around a little bit, but if you can do that, brother, I mean, you just need to catch one or two of them off guard. You gotta have a couple surprises, I think, to keep Sam Pittman happy, to keep the Hunter happy, to keep these fans happy, because they're all ready, man. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to lie to you. There was a little bit of a, kind of, I'm not saying, we all know those Debbie Downers, and I've been them, but that was like me kind of hiding away from the Arkansas guys a couple of times, just because I didn't want my day ruined by, how bad they thought they were going to be. I'm the opposite. I think this is a program just like a couple of years ago that could honestly surprise a few folks and be exciting again. That's all we want. We want an exciting brand of football put out there on the field.
Yeah. Hey, Shane, shout out Chicken 1515.
Hey!
Horns down, he says. Drink up, Shane, Boober Suitor. So appreciate you. No
Thank
question
you,
there, but we do greatly appreciate the donation. We got another one here, Shane. $10 from Chris Vaught. Shout out Chris Vaught. Mike loves Hugh Freeze. $10 donation. Thank you. It's freezing on the plane, Shane. I'm on board here.
What's it going to take for you to forgive Hugh Freeze, Mike? I know he's got some baggage, and you're not sold that he's a great coach there at Auburn.
Yeah.
But what do you have to see this season to say, you know what? Maybe I was wrong. Maybe not personally, but as far as coaching, maybe I was wrong.
Yeah, let's throw. Hey, you're getting into the mailbag. I love it, Shane.
Yeah.
All right. What do they got to do? I mean, if they win 8 games this year,
mm-hmm.
which that's not even that high of a bar at Auburn. I mean, again, this is not anti-Auburn; it's more anti-Hugh Freeze. But if they go 8-4, well, if they go 9 win, I'll be like, all right, this guy is one hell of a coach here, Shane. Because I'm looking at it, hell, all they got to do is win all their home games, and they're 8-4. So go a step above, beat someone else, take care of every game at home. But how about this, Shane? Let's see something out of Peyton Thorne.
Yeah.
Let's see some explosiveness to this offense. It's not just Jarquez Hunter, who's awesome, But I want to see what they do on the offensive side of the football with Hugh Freeze seizing control of that. And who knows, Shane, the games they played better, Bama, Georgia, maybe that was all Hugh Freeze.
Yeah.
Now, why in the hell he wasn't doing it all year? I don't know. Again, we don't have to relitigate all that, but you know,
I'm kind of with you. And one of the knocks that you had on Freeze was his process. And if you do see progress from the quarterback, if you do see some of these young kids that he recruited in there all of a sudden become, you know, key contributors on that football team, then all of a sudden I think you reevaluate the recipe that Hugh Freeze is coming at Auburn. Am I wrong? Or
well, and I don't know if you caught this, Shane, but I believe this was a quote from Media Days, or it was around Media Days when I heard it. But apparently Hugh has said, I'm just much more comfortable recruiting high school players than I am portal players. And I appreciate the honesty. He obviously comes from a high school background. It's well chronicled, Blindside and all that. He was the coach. So that makes sense. But I don't like that, though. I mean, why is Lane Kiffin being successful? Why is Drink being successful? Why are a lot of these coaches being successful? It's because they're attacking the portal.
Yeah.
And whether you're comfortable with it or not, I mean, that's why these coaches fail. Why is Gus Malzahn no longer at Auburn? It's because he fails to adapt. There's many Les Miles. He never adapted the offense. If he adapted the offense at LSU, he'd probably still be down there.
Yeah.
So I get a little concerned when I hear a coach say, well, I'm not comfortable with this, that, or the other. Well, that's the game now. So either you get comfortable with it or you get out, because they're going to run you off eventually, I think.
Well, to be fair, Mike, I used to not be able to do computers. Now look at me, you know. So miracles do happen, Mike. So I don't know. I'm a little bit on the opposite side with Auburn. I'm more intrigued with what could happen down there on the plains.
Hey, we got another one from Free Durden, Shane.
Hey,
Georgia defense over under 10 points per game. I mean, my goodness, we're setting the bar high, but it is Georgia, the elite of the elite. Throw up some of their defensive figures from last. I mean, 10 points per game is asking a lot. And I'll tell you why. He's not going to like this answer, Shane, but I am very confident that they're going to allow more than 10 points per game. And it's not a shot at Georgia. It's this right here. It's this schedule. Clemson, at Kentucky, at Bama, Auburn, at Texas, Florida, which I think is going to be pretty improved, at Ole Miss, Tennessee. If you allow 10 points per game playing that damn gauntlet, this may be the best defense in college football history. So, I mean, they could be elite and still be giving up 15 points per game. I truly do think.
And I'm kind of on the opposite side of this, and again, not knocking Georgia's defense, but I'm expecting more points from that offense.
Right.
I'm really wanting to see. I want to see him cut it loose, brother. You know, they haven't had a Heisman winner since '82 or whatever. 1980. I know that was a national championship. '82, I believe, was Herschel Walker. You may have to correct me if I'm wrong, but again, I think you have an opportunity with Beck, but you don't do that just by putting up vanilla stats the entire. And I'm not saying that's what Smart's goal is here, but I feel like they got caught with their pants down at the end of the season last year, not being able to have that electric, explosive offense that may have hindered them from getting into a college football playoff. Times are a-changing. Defense is very important, and I think Georgia may have the best defense in the country, but I think you got to have a really good offense these days.
And you just made me think of something, Shane, because I've been hearing it from these coaches. With an expanded playoff, more games, particularly teams like a Georgia, like an Alabama, that assume they're going to be there, you got to wonder how much these coaches are thinking ahead and saying, well, I don't want my defense out on the field 80 snaps per game, 90 snaps per game, because we may need them 15, 16, 17 games. I don't know how many. I think it's like around 16 that you could theoretically play. So that would be the only counter to what you just said. Because you want to score, you score a bunch of points, you're going to go undefeated or be tough to beat, obviously. But I wonder if you really want to milk that clock again so your defense is not facing as many snaps. Because if you are a Georgia just making the Final Four, I don't even know if the fans are happy anymore. You know what I mean?
I totally get it. And I and to counter your counter, Mike, if you look at that schedule, especially that last half of it, the last part of it, there is no resting with Ole Miss and Tennessee. But UMass, Georgia Tech, don't be surprised if you don't see as much ones out there on defense. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that they're going to pull the starters or anything like that, but I would imagine something like you're saying, potentially 16 games, there's going to have to be some sort of structure where you're allowing a little bit more youth on that football field. And with youth comes explosive plays on the opposite side. So I don't know. This is a new year. It's a new style. I mean, with so many new pieces going on, I just don't think. I think the 10 points per game are in the rearview mirror, Mike.
Yeah. Hey, Shane, shout out Cousin Patrick here. $15 donation.
Hey.
Appreciate you, Cousin Patrick.
Thank you, cuz.
I want to have a beer with Uncle Shane, he says there.
DM your address. I'm on my way. We're going to have, I got 5 more of them tall boys where that one came from. Hey, again, we are planning to get out a little bit more this year. So I don't know where Cuz is going to be, but I promise that we'll be sure to give everybody a shout out so we can meet up. I love having cold beers.
We got another one, Shane. Cousin William, which game are you most excited for this season? I already know. Yeah, I know you haven't had time to think about this. You want me to go first?
No, it's a stupid. Let me say this. There's a difference. The first game is my most exciting game because I always look forward to the first game of the season, But yeah, maybe I should give this a little thought. Now
That's a terrible answer, Shane. Absolutely, you sound like a coach right now. Week 1, all this.
No, none of that bullshit. I'm just saying, I get so excited that college football's here that when I'm watching it, it's halftime of the first game ever. Like I remember Hawaii and Vanderbilt last year. I'm excited. I'm pumped up. It's halftime, and I'm like, man, the season's almost over. It's starting to drift away again. So no, it's just that anticipation for college football.
Okay, well, again, terrible answer. The answer, Shane, is Texas at Texas A&M. That's the game. I know it's the last damn game of the regular season. That's the one that I'm most excited about, just because it's been taken away from us for over a decade, getting that thing back, and I hope it has playoff implications, and I hope that it goes down to the wire just because the loser's going to be that much more upset. You know what?
The game that I'm ultimately most excited about, I'll give you a hint, Mike, November 9th.
You just want to bang that damn drum.
I want to get down there because the hatred that is just spewing online. Oklahoma hates Mizzou. Mizzou hates Oklahoma. So much hatred. It almost feels like the Egg Bowl back in the good days, back when we had some fights at the end, I feel like if we get out there, we may see some fights, brother.
And it's a sellout, Shane, so I don't even know if we're going to get in there.
Yeah. Maybe I could sneak in, Mike. I'll be a security guard on the sideline.
All right, how about this one from Serene and Keen?
Thanks, cuz.
Will your opinions or expectations of LSU change if after the first 4 weeks they lead the league in rushing yards per game? Ooh, boy. Let's kick over to LSU's schedule. I don't believe – I mean, they're playing Southern Cal.
Yeah.
They're a joke on defense. UCLA – our good buddy Stephen Lassen says they're about one of the worst teams in the Big Ten, whatever league they're in now. Nichols and South Carolina. So, I mean, maybe, but not really. I mean, because to me, they will still have not proven a ton yet. Now, if you want to, go further down the list and say the first 8 weeks, yeah, of course. But I don't know. Would you're pretty high on LSU already, but I don't know. Let's put it this way. Do you think they lead the SEC in rushing yards per game after the first month of the season?
Possibly. I mean, they got the best offensive line in the country, Mike, and in fact, I'm doing an online an online game. What do you call it when you're a player on the video game? And I chose LSU. I'm a quarterback because I wanted all time to just sit back there in the pocket. But I think when you're looking at LSU, it's not so much the rushing that I think is going to be the factor. It's the defense, brother. We just got to see some improvement. If we see some, 20, 30-point games as opposed to 40 and 50-point games, I think that is a sign of relief, coming out here, hitting USC right in the mouth. I think that's a sign. I don't think necessarily it's rushing or passing. It's just more preventing the rushing and passing on the opposite side of the ball.
Mm-hmm. Hey, how about this one, Shane? Great question from Cousin Evan here. He gave us a donation. Thank you, Cousin Evan. Who was your favorite interview from SEC Media? And I asked Shane this while we were down there. I'm curious if he's got the same answer.
Well, other than coaches and players, because I enjoyed all of our time with those guys, but I would have to say Slay. Just because when I went to college, he was there, and he was the big man on campus, and it was like seeing a celebrity the first time I ever saw him, so getting to see him again, I don't know, it just kind of sparked some of that 1998 love.
Right. Can I do a tie? Is that cheating?
No,
because I'm afraid they might brawl if I pick one or the other, but I would probably say Cole Kubelik and Josh Pate.
Just the fight between. Which one's your favorite, Mike?
No, they were all great though. I mean, that's one of the highlights of my year. And it's funny, Shane. I'll tell the audience. I don't know if they'll care, but a lot of people go down there and they like, it baffles me, man. Some people are like, man, this is a waste of time. Why does the SEC do this?
Yeah,
this is, and I'm like, dude, this is like one of the best weeks of my life here because I'm getting out of my house. I'm getting to mingle with people and hang out and get that face-to-face interaction with so many people that give us their time, just online and things of that nature. I love it. And, sure, there's ways to improve it, but I think it's fantastic. And every year, Shane, the audience seems to really appreciate all the hard work we do down there. So as long as they'll have us, I'll be going down there.
Now, who's the worst? No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. I will say on that note, Mike, when we first started this, we had a segment. It was around the league. And that was kind of the premise of this show, was just bouncing around the entire SEC and getting, the insight on all. And like you said, Media Days provides that. When you have, everything from beat writers to national media, these, you've seen them. Just the best of the best was there. And it's kind of tough not to get starstruck with some of these guys. But then again, it was so much fun interacting with them in person. It's different than like videos and stuff like that, but hanging out and, listening to the stories and stuff like that, man, we've got so many great storylines coming into this season that I didn't even know about until after Media Day. So I loved every one of them, and I appreciate them taking time to come over to see me and Mike over there.
And I don't know about you, Shane, but I always feel like the first time we interview someone, it's always the worst time.
Yeah.
And they're good, but it's you guys have to understand what the people are getting themselves into, because again, I'm not trying to call shots at anybody, but we are completely different than any booth that is there. So I think they're like, how in the hell these two rednecks get in here? What are they doing? But it takes about an interview for us to open someone up. Yeah. And then by the second year we get them, then they love coming to our booth. But I don't know, that's just a little inside there.
Yeah, absolutely. And to answer your question, the worst, it had to be Nick and Adam, not even close. So just kidding, boys. Love you.
Hey, shout out cousin Felix here, Shane.
Oh, thank you, cuz.
I am in the SEC only college fantasy football league. Who should I take with my first pick? That's a great question.
Damn.
And it's hard to answer because you got to know the rules. A lot of times quarterbacks are more valuable than anybody, but if we're just talking,
let's remove quarterbacks. That's too easy.
Yeah.
Other than quarterbacks,
sometimes running backs are like incredibly valuable too.
I think these days and age, I think what's harder is bell cow running backs, because they've kind of all gone to these committees and stuff. So if it were me, I'd be looking. I mean, obviously quarterback's what you want to steal if you can get one of the top 5 guys. But as far as running backs, that's where you can get some sneaky good points there. So I don't know which running back do you think would have the most fantasy points by the end of the year?
Not even going running back, Shane.
Oh, you going receiver?
There we go. Luther, my man. Come on, Luther. I mean, he'll obviously receiving yards and touchdowns, rushing, but also punt returning. I mean, he does it all. If you get to collect all those points, give me Luther Burden, I think, is the easy answer there. But when it comes to running back, Jarquez Hunter, I think he's got to be near the top of that list. Montrell Johnson, Florida. Trevor Etienne down there in Georgia.
I like Etienne. I like Bentley, because, again, you're looking for some extra. If it's a PPR, points per reception league, then you're looking at some of these guys that are good out of the backfield. So, man, I don't know. Maybe we should do a college football fantasy. I tried not to do fantasy last year because I got too crazy with college football, but college football fantasy, I've never done that. That sounds fun.
What about Dylan Sampson? How high would he rank on your list if we were talking running backs?
Pretty high. I think this is a dude that will be a focal piece. A lot of people are talking about Nico, but it's going to, if you're talking about stat leaders, it's going to be Dylan at the end of the season. He will be that kind of bell cow, if you will. So, I would put him in top 5, in the top 5 easy for the SEC.
Right. All right, back to the mailbag, Shane. Again, if you got any questions you want answered, throw us a donation of any kind. We'll get to it. How about this one, Shane, from Matthew D? Are all the issues with Georgia football players going to currently cause major changes to be made to the program? And it's gotten to a point, Shane, where you can't even ignore this stuff anymore. But here's the reality, at least as I view it. As long as they're winning and winning at a high level, they'll let them get away with this stuff. I truly do think. Now, if you start slipping, would this go on at Mississippi State right now? I don't think so. I think changes would come. But as long as they're winning big, I don't know that there's going to be a ton of punishment coming through. And hell, it sounds like Kirby's not even doing anything. He's just saying, well, we're docking their NIL payments.
I mean, I get it. You want something done, right? I remember, was it Alabama, the tackle that had the gun in the car, that sort of thing? Like, he never really got anything, I don't think, out of the whole situation.
I think he missed a series or something.
Yeah, Saban got mad I remember him getting mad at Paul, over that situation. But, this stuff's been going on forever. It's just now it's out there. People see it. There's cameras, there's phones, there's all that. So you're getting a little bit more exposed to it. But I don't know.
Certainly seems like a lot, though.
Yeah.
Not just one incident or anything.
My parents always threatened to put like governors on my cars so they couldn't go over a certain speed. So maybe that's something we look into. Maybe you earn that privilege, like what's his name? You got before you got your sweats. You had to earn your jerseys. Was that Morris over there in Arkansas? Maybe you got to earn those keys before you can drive 150 miles an hour. But I don't know, man. They're definitely not going to get the answer on this show. I saw one picture, video. Somebody was flying a helicopter, one of the players, and the guy had subtweeted. He said, "Please God, Kirby, don't let them have helicopters."
All right, how about this one, Shane? And again, you didn't have it, so you may want to think about it for a minute. But I got a list here from Joshua, 24 fan. What are the SEC's top 5 non-conference games this year? And I've got a couple that stand out to me. You want me to do mine first?
SEC's non-conference games you're looking forward to?
Yeah, top 5.
Top 5? Yeah, you go ahead and I'll critique.
Thankfully, Shane, a lot of these are early in the season, and maybe I'm wrong, but maybe that factored into my reasonings here. But number 1 for me, Shane, we've been talking about this game for a long, long time. Miami at Florida. To me, that's number 1 non-conference, just the implications for both programs. We're going to be firing Billy if they lose it. If they win it, they're going to be pointing a finger at everybody that's doubting them this all. I mean, there's just so much for that game. Rivalry, in-state, home and home. I love this game.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's clear-cut number 1 answer without a doubt.
Okay, how about number 2, Shane?
Is this your order? Is this the order that you're going in?
I mean, I might as well. It's the order I've written it down, so I guess so.
Yeah.
Southern Cal, LSU in Las Vegas, Sunday night, week 1. And again, stick with me here. I know everybody's expect expect LSU to just steamroll them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying not so fast, my friend. And remember, T-Bob, that was our interview at Media Days. He said, we got to watch this game. I just think with the totally reworked defense, I know we don't have much respect for Lincoln Riley, but you're a fool if you don't think he's a really good offensive mind. I think Southern Cal is going to be able to score on LSU. Now, will they be able to beat them? You know, I have reservations there, but I think this is close to a toss-up type game. And if Brian Kelly goes 0 for 3, hell, LSU they've not won a season opener since 2019, I believe, or I think it was even before that, 2019, because they won the national championship. Since 2019, Shane. I mean, we got to get a week 1 victory here. I think there's big implications on this game for LSU.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And we don't use that name on this pod. You know that, Mike.
T-Bow.
So, but I think part of it's the Florida State, 2 years in a row, losing to them. You kind of want to get that bad taste out of your mouth. But I think this is a less forgiving season for LSU too. This is a game you got to have, because to have that opportunity to make it into that college football playoffs, I don't think you make it if you lose this game, because the schedule is too daunting here. I think you're going to find maybe another loss or two, and it's going to be really tough to get in there. So this is, I hate to say must win, but if Coach, that's one thing. Coach Kelly came out. He's very, very confident with the LSU Tigers. That made me more confident. We talked to a lot of LSU guys down there, also very confident, kind of cocky, small feet. But I will say these guys are pumped up and they're ready to compete for college football playoff spots. And I think you got to beat USC. That's a big one.
How about this one, Shane? Notre Dame at Texas A&M, week 1. Again, these first 3 are all week 1. I didn't do that on purpose, but that's just how it worked out. College game day is going to be there.
Yeah.
Mike Elko's taking over at A&M. Notre Dame's like around top 10 ranked, whether they deserve that or not. I think there's going to be a lot of anticipation for this game, and this is an opportunity for A&M to get a statement win right out the gate, and all these people, which is fair. Who knows what in the hell A&M is going to look like on the field this fall? But you start winning these games, then we start to see, okay, we got us a coach. We know we got a roster. We got holes. A lot of transfers we've added. How do those pieces come together? How quickly do they come together? If they're beating a top 10-ish type team right out the gate, A&M's a serious contender for the college football playoff. So I think this has got to make this list.
They win, it changes everything, Mike. It changes the whole landscape. Every time that you've looked at A&M and you've penciled in a victory or maybe a close game, you've got to reassess it. That wait, maybe this team is back. Now, let me ask you on the question side. Was the question about most important?
No, it's just top 5 non-conference games. However you want to define that.
Yeah, and the reason is I don't think that it's important for I don't think Elko has to win it, if that makes sense. I think if you go up the street to Austin there and you look at Michigan, I would say that's more of a must win type situation if you're talking non-conference.
That's next on the list, Shane. Texas at Michigan, week 2 of the season. So, hey, you're right there, buddy. I mean, that'll be a big one for them Longhorns, defending national champions in Ann Arbor. So, yeah, I feel like that game's got to make this list too.
Yeah, it changes. It's everything, because nobody talks about Texas' schedule until October 12th when they play Oklahoma. Nobody's mentioning any of the teams that they played beforehand. But every now and then you hear the Michigan talk. Oh yeah, but that's not Jim Harbaugh's Michigan. That's look at all the pieces they lost there. That if you drop that game, brother, all of a sudden, I'm not saying Sark's on the hot seat, but all that Texas love that the SEC's been throwing out there goes right out the window.
And then the last one on my list, Shane, you ain't gonna like this. Tennessee, NC State. Vols think they're just going to steam. That'll be classic Tennessee, isn't it, Shane?
Yeah.
You come out here, let's say they win the opener by 50, 60 points. Feels like 98. We're going to crush Florida. Alabama, they can't win in this damn stadium. On and on. And then you drop it to freaking NC State. That'd be the most Tennessee thing ever.
Yeah, I didn't even want to talk about it, Mike. I didn't want to bring it up. It's like if you make it a thing, it becomes a thing. I don't want it to be a thing. The Wolfpack is not back, man. I'm a little bit opposite here. I kind of like that Georgia Clemson game. I think that one right out of the gate, it's just beating Dabo. Who doesn't like seeing Dabo get his ass kicked week one, and all the excuses and all the transfers he didn't take, it's just all the jokes that we've been bookmarking and saving we'll be able to throw out after August 31st. So anytime Clemson lose, I'm good with that. So I would have that one a little bit higher on the list. There is another one that you're missing though.
Is it Bama at Wisconsin?
No, but that is a good game. I told you that you talk about trap games. This one could be a sneaky one right here. You're thinking about Georgia, but remember, you played Western Kentucky, you played Southern Florida. You're feeling so good and at home, you're feeling so good about your football team, and then you go on the road to Wisconsin, and some people are saying Wisconsin's better than they look. Who knows? I'm not saying that it should be a ball game, but it is a sneaky one. Out of all like the non-conferences that we talked about, that's one that may be closer than the experts think. But no, mine's Oklahoma. Bring up Oklahoma's schedule. Nobody's talking about this, but it's sneaky good.
Tulane?
November 2nd, Maine. Nobody's talking about them. Right between Ole Miss and Mizzou.
I thought you were going to go completely different direction and say Arkansas, Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Or possibly Mizzou, UMass. That'll be a good one. But I got one more for you, Shane.
UMass. Away to UMass.
Can't overlook it.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt, Alcorn.
Yeah, well, must win, Georgia State right after it. So Vanderbilt's got a lot of must wins. And it is kind of funny you bring that up, the earlier one. What was the two ones earlier that you were talking about?
Mizzou, UMass?
No, before that one.
Arkansas, Oklahoma State.
Yeah, this one. And it feels like an Arkansas show. But Oklahoma State, that's like, I love Sam Pittman. And deep down inside, I love the Razorbacks. I want them to succeed, but it all hinges on that game. It's almost like a poor man Miami, Florida, and not that Gundy needs it, but it just feels like you got to have that game, or all the momentum shit that we've been trying to preach here this offseason goes right out the window.
Yep. All right, back to that Arkansas podcast. Hey, Shade, how about cousin Dakota here? $20.
Hey, thank you, cuz.
Thanks, cuz.
Even if the Sooners win 8 games, will it make their fans any less hideous? That's cousin Dakota's words, not ours. But again, throw up their schedule, Shane. 8 games. Man, Again, maybe you're not the one to ask this, Shane, because you didn't go up to Norman. You were unavailable. But I got the sense that 8-4, this damn fan base is gonna riot. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not saying that's like totally unrealistic. You should have high expectations, but it wouldn't stun me. They go 8-4 with this schedule, would it?
Stun me? No, not stun me. But I'm kind of right there with you. Media days, we got a chance to talk to a lot of Oklahoma guys, and almost upset to say 8-4 is a good year. It's a good outcome. You know what I'm saying? So part of me reassesses and say, am I wrong? Is Oklahoma, because one of the things is we've kind of put it on on maybe the quarterback not being. Listen, I love Jackson. I think he's going to be a great, fantastic quarterback in the SEC. But there's a lot of pressure on him, to hit the ground running. The nice thing is you got 3 weeks to really ramp that up. But September 21st is like that hinge game, kind of like we talked about Oklahoma State and Arkansas earlier. Tennessee, their first SEC matchup. If 8-4 truly is the floor for Oklahoma, then you got to beat the brakes off Tennessee. That's all there is to it, Mike.
Yeah. Hey, Shane, hold the phone. Hold the phone here, Shane. Cousin William coming through. $50 donation. Appreciate you, Cousin William. Max, love to you both. Y'all really do make college football more fun. Been watching for a few years now, and I'm a diehard SEC and that SEC podcast fan. Go Kentucky. Thank you, William.
Oh man, I'm gonna be such a Kentucky homer tomorrow. Now, thanks, Will. I appreciate you, brother.
All right, Shade, back to the mailbag. I like this one though, from Floyd the Barber. Great name too. With Texas and Oklahoma coming into this great conference, did A&M miss out on a chance to establish themselves as a perennial elite program? They fumbled their golden opportunity during the Johnny Manziel era, and that is something. Go check it out if you missed it. We had Billy Lucci in studio. I hit him basically with that question because it was all there, Shane.
Yeah,
Johnny Manziel, Kevin Sutherland, and Johnny Manziel is one of my favorite players of all time. So this is not a slight to him, but it was not just Johnny Manziel. I mean, they had Mike Evans out there. They had it seemed like 5 first-round NFL picks on the offensive line over a 4 or 5 yard time. They had Myles Garrett. I mean, they had so many great players there.
Yeah.
And I think it's completely fair to say they missed on that opportunity, all that momentum, and you see it just in the facilities and the stadium and everything they've thrown into that program to make them elite, but they not done it, Shane. So have they missed their opportunity? No, I don't think so. I think it's all still there. Now, I get it. Texas coming in, I could see how that could hurt you. Even Oklahoma, to a sense, you could say, because now A&M can't sell where in the SEC they're not. Come here. But, man, I've been saying it since this happened, Shane. I mean, the rest of the country is just on a different level, and I'm saying downward level.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a joke with Big Ten adding Washington and Southern Cal. These are desperation moves.
Yeah.
Because again, that's great. They're going to be Matt Rule thinks they should get 4 or 5 teams in the college football playoff. Meanwhile, he can't win a damn game in that league. But that league is a joke compared to the SEC. And with Texas and Oklahoma in here, it does make it tougher. But I think it gives the rest of the league that opportunity to put that badge on and say, hey, we can make it to the playoff. We can win the playoff. And if you need evidence, Shane, just look at Ole Miss. Just look at Missouri. You can't convince me that those schools have something that A&M doesn't. They just got to capture it. I still think A&M's got all the potential in the world to be elite.
Yeah. That's beautiful words, Mike. You said a lot of great things in there, but part of me feels like they missed the boat there, because like you said, they had the state to themselves as far as SEC. Hell, Mizzou made it to the SEC championship. A&M has it, So part of me, but the other side, you're right about the stadium renovations and all that stuff that went into it was because they were competing in the SEC and because of that Johnny Manziel momentum that they had, but it's beyond Johnny now. This is a machine that just had the wrong captain for a long time, and I feel like they've got the captain, and things can change just like that, just in an instant. And it doesn't matter about what Texas is bringing in because I think you're on equal footing. If you can come in here in the next 2 or 3 years and establish yourself as the dominant of those 3 that you mentioned, then recruiting's not going to be a problem with A&M. A&M will always have money. So maybe I'm going back on it. Maybe they didn't miss anything, but I felt like I am a little hurt the last couple of years. I've been so high on A&M and they've just sucked it up. So now it's like, now I'm down on them. They'll probably be good. So I don't know. I don't think it's over.
Right. Hey, how about this one, Shane, from Tanya? Let's see.
Oh, thanks, cuz.
I don't understand this, but I'm going to read it anyway. Shane, hippo character's head pops out of the water surrounded by his hippo squad.
Yeah.
Is that a fat joke? I don't know, but
I don't know. I kind of look like one of those guys just coming out of the...
Thank you, Cousin Todd. She sent us some spices, Shane. I got to get you on these spices.
Whoa.
They're pretty damn good.
What kind of spices?
For chicken wings and things of that nature.
Yeah, you're throwing this out. We were just together. Could you not brought some of those down to Dallas and we swap?
Oh, buddy, one of our favorites here,
Oh,
Shoelace.
there he is. Hey, cuz.
Shoelace Suitor.
Cuz.
Sorry, I've been away. Crazy at work. Love you guys from a hideous OU fan. Sooners going all the way, damn it, for a $100 donation. You know what?
Oh, man. What would it take for Oklahoma to make a college football playoff, Mike? Seriously. I know we've got mixed emotions. We got some fans think Oklahoma's coming in here as college football playoff contenders.
Yeah.
And then we got some coming in as SEC pretenders. So what does Oklahoma need to do to stop, because it's a tough schedule, brother. It may be one of the toughest schedules in the SEC. What games are must wins to punch that ticket into the playoff?
LSU.
Yeah.
I'm throwing that one in there. Mizzou.
Yeah.
These are all on the damn road too, Shane.
Yeah.
And probably Tennessee has to be there.
Can 9 and 3 get in?
I think we've had this conversation many times,
Yeah.
Shane, but 9 and 3 can get you there as long as one of the three, or basically the whole point here is Missouri, Alabama, LSU. You can't lose all those.
Yeah.
Because they ain't going to take a team on a 3-game skid.
Yeah.
Now, will they take a team? What if Missouri's undefeated? Let's say you lose to Missouri. Oh, God, Oklahoma fans can't. Let's say you lose to Alabama. they will not accept Missouri. If you beat Missouri and they're 11-1, and you beat LSU, I don't care what the score of the Alabama game is. If you're 9 and 3, I think you're in.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. Now, who are the other two losses? Probably at Ole Miss, maybe Texas, something like that. But 10, you're a lock, I think, with this schedule. 9, you just can't come in with a losing skid, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think 9 and 3 is possible, but I think 9 and 3 is only possible if it's Alabama and LSU as wins.
Mm-hmm.
I like you said, just ending the month with a couple of big wins. The two that you could lose, I think Mizzou. I think you could lose that one on the road. Mizzou will be a probably top 5, top 10 team. Ole Miss, also a top 5, top 10, and then Tennessee and Texas. And if you're picking one, I would say Tennessee up front, just because you got more time to put wins under your belt. The Texas win would be big. That'd be a top 25. And then closing out with 2 top 25s with Alabama and LSU can make the argument. But it's still really, really tough. 9 and 3 is going to be – I think there's maybe 2-3 teams max in the SEC that could get away with that.
Mm-hmm. How about this one, Shane? I like this question. You'll appreciate it here from Cousin Kelso. Go Vols.
Thanks, cuz.
Better refereeing in the works? It's always the damn refs. You know what, Shane?
They're
Tennessee would have beat Ole Miss if not for those damn refs. We'll still never get over that one. You know what?
What happens after now that Saban's gone? Who gets the treatment? Who gets that ref treatment moving? Is it Kirby? Is it Sark? Texas?
It's got to be Texas, right? Oh, baby. Cousin Rick.
Thanks, cuz.
Coming in. Oh, one of my favorite Aggie here. A&M defensive line crushes Notre Dame's inexperienced O-line for the win week. Well, let's play that out, Shane. Again, I meant to say this before. Cousin Rick's is, I swear, this is not inspired by a $100 donation, even though we greatly appreciate it, Cousin Rick. But I was going to say this, Shane. If, and this could be an if. Again, people are saying Notre Dame's top 10-ish. Mm-hmm. I ain't buying all that bullshit. But let's say Notre Dame is top 10.
Yeah.
And A&M beats them.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Cousin Rick says, they crush that offensive line. If A&M is capable of beating a top 10-ish type team, who in the hell are they going to lose to? I mean, maybe Missouri, but again, that's a home game. I don't think LSU is going to be as good as people are cracking. So, again, certainly that's a tough one. And then obviously Texas. But outside of those three I just mentioned, Mizzou, LSU, and Texas.
Yeah.
If you're telling me A&M's good enough right now, or week 1 to beat Notre Dame,
mm-hmm.
they will beat, bearing some fluke, every team I just mentioned. So we're saying at worst 9 and 3. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah. Well, crushing Notre Dame.
Yeah.
If you crush Notre Dame, then all of a sudden Florida's not a sneaky trap game.
Right.
Then Arkansas is not a sneaky trap game.
Mm-hmm.
Mizzou becomes a tough game, but you got them at home. LSU's a tough game, but you got them at home. Texas is a tough game, but guess what? You got them at home. So you win 2 of those, maybe even, I think you got to, this is a team that has to go 10-2. You have to win 2 of those. All 3 of them are at home. So, oh man, I'm not doing it, Mike. I'm not doing it. I don't care how many $100 get thrown our way. I'm not getting sucked into this. A&M is not going to the playoffs.
You just guaranteed they are. Thank you, sir. Thank you from Cousin Rick. Thank you for that. Hey, how about this one? Another one from Chicken 1515. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, cuz.
Let's see. Shane, who's the real UT, and can you kick Bevo's butt?
Oh, Tennessee's the real UT.
The SEC has already come out and confirmed that, have they not?
They did, and that's why I said it. It wasn't because I felt it for the last 42 years, but yes, I believe that's right. The SEC officially said it, so I guess I got to go with Sankey. Take it up with Sankey.
Yeah, don't put it on us. All right, Shane, back to the mailbag. You'll like this one. From OU Sigma.
And I cannot kick Bevo's ass. I will say this. I'm scared of cows. I know. Look, you would think that's like I'd have a few. In fact, have I told you that story? Have I told you about the time
I have no idea. Tell it.
Okay. So many moons ago, on a night like tonight, now, me and my brother, we were walking to this place called Terry Point. So, and back in the day, there was no houses out there. It was just farms. And there was this little section that had a farm on the left, farm on the right. Me and my brother were probably in our, like 10 age, something like that. My mom, she's walking with us. We're riding our bikes and whatever. So we're up ahead, and there's this big old bull, and it had this brass ring in its nose. And then, so me and my brother, naturally being kids and boys that we are, we're just taunting the shit out of this thing. And it's kicking up, it's kicking dirt and all that stuff. And we're just having a blast, And then as it starts approaching the fence, didn't run to it, started approaching the fence, we realized that our mom was still behind us. So we look back, and who's coming over here with the Walkman? It's in the 80s, so it's probably blaring some Shania Twain or whatever. And she's just going to town on it. And me and my brother were like, God, and finally we got her attention. And by the time she got it off, I've never seen my mom run but once in my life, and that was the day. And the problem is we were all on the wrong side. So to get to the other side, we had to cross back. And after that, man, I've been scared of them bulls the entire time. I've always afraid like they knew that I was scared of them if I got near them and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not getting near Bevo at all.
Occupant 123 says, I'm never scared of dinner, Shane. All right, how about this one, Shane? Back to the mailbag here from OU Sigma. Over under 3.5 SEC teams that make the playoff.
Over under 3.5. Ooh, 3.5. That's what you got. You're thinking 4. 4 teams get in. 4 teams get in. Yeah.
Otherwise, what are we doing here, Shane? What are we doing here?
12,
I agree with
12
that.
12 teams get in.
How about this one, Shane, from Jeremy O'Connor? What's more likely? We'll throw up our schedule here. You'll like this one. Mizzou 12-0 or Mizzou 7-5? Which is more likely?
You got that camera on me, Mike? Go ahead and bring that in. 12-0. I'm telling you right now, I do think there's some tricky games on Mizzou's schedule that we're not talking about right now, but are going to happen. And part of me, I'm not saying that there was too much confidence coming into SEC Media Days, but I do worry about teams like A&M, Auburn, Alabama, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Arkansas. These games that, yeah, I can convince you if you give me 5 minutes that Mizzou should curb stomp them. But they should have done that with Florida last year. They should have done that with Kansas State last year. They should have done that with a lot of teams that all of a sudden we look up in the fourth quarter and we're in a damn football game. And we don't have the defense that we had last year. We've got a very good defense, but it's not as good as last year, in my opinion. So what does that look like? I know we got all the pieces, but we've not seen it together yet. So I'm not saying 12-0 is impossible. I'm not saying 12-0 is possible. But is it more likely? Absolutely.
Yeah, and that goes right with the next question in the mailbag, Shane, from 4-Time. That's a great name. Can any SEC team run the table, and how does Georgia replace Bowers? But kind of obviously let's focus on the first part here, Shane. Will any team run the table? I tend to think it's more likely they won't, with just how much more difficult the schedules are now with Texas and Oklahoma in here. What's your thoughts? I know we just said, Mizzou more likely 12-0 than 7-5, but again, you just hit on it. I mean, there's going to be landmines. There's always landmines that we don't anticipate. So I tend to think that no, because I think the most obvious candidates are Georgia.
Yeah.
And they got a damn murderer's row. I think Alabama is a candidate, but they play Georgia, so there's process of elimination. One's gone. At Tennessee, at LSU, at Oklahoma, Mizzou, at Wisconsin. I mean, they'll lose a game. Ole Miss, perhaps, but again, they play Georgia.
Yeah.
I don't know. Even Texas, they obviously play Georgia. So at A&M, Oklahoma.
I don't think it happens, but if it does, like honestly, if you just take a second and you had to put your money on one team to do it, you've mentioned a lot of great football teams, but there's only one that I've got on my mind, and it's the team that's done it the last 3 years. So I'm going Georgia Bulldogs. Again, I understand they have a tough schedule, but when you talk about those teams that they're playing that are tough, they're all looking at Georgia like, damn, that's the toughest game we've got. So, yeah, if I'm putting my money on one, it's the Georgia Bulldogs.
Okay.
And how do they replace Bowers? I honestly, I don't know if you can. I mean, obviously, Delp's going to have to.
Did you see that clip I put out today, Shane?
No, I don't watch anything. I got you muted. No, just kidding.
From Hard Knocks. There's a new Hard Knocks on HBO, and first time I believe ever they're doing off season. So it's kind of interesting to see the background. They're doing the Giants. Their coach is Dayball, who was offensive coordinator there for Bama for a year or two. He said, I reached out to Nick Saban and asked him who's the toughest guys to watch out for. He said there's two guys that are a effing problem. He said Malik Neighbors and Brock Bowers. He says you get a chance to draft one of them at 6, you do it. And of course they took Neighbors. So just point being, Brock Bowers, Neighbors on a different planet. I don't think you can, specifically Brock Bowers, because you got to remember he's a tight end. Mm-hmm. But hell, they'd hand it to him. He'd run. He'd do reverses. He was an underrated blocker. He's one of the best blockers in the SEC too. I just don't think there's another one of him around.
Motivator, team leader. I mean, there's a lot of things that he brought. Just toughness. We talked about the end of last season, how he's battling injuries, knowing he's going to be a first-round draft pick, and it was like he doesn't care. Just strap it on. He's going in, All
right. And case in point, Harry Leg here. Great name. But he's naming all the guys they have. So he had to put 3 tight ends up. Says we're fine at tight end. That's not the point.
Yeah. What a name group.
None of those 3. I mean, it takes 3 men to replace this one. Yeah, that's the point we're trying to make here. You know what I mean? Like it is. He's otherworldly. I think this is not that bold of a statement, Shane.
Yeah,
you just hit on it. Georgia went undefeated regular season the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. I think Brock Bowers may have been the best player, maybe the entire time. Now I know they had some elite defensive linemen. But from the day he stepped on campus, he was a starter. He was an elite player. He's the only one that's, I think, is common there that was just a huge factor from day one till all 3 of those years.
Yeah. No, I again, you can't replace him. Just like, I mean, we've done this with a lot of superstars that's come through the league. Like we just talked about LSU. How do you replace, the quarterback? You don't replace it. You change and you morph. And I think that's kind of what we see with Georgia is just a change in scheme. Not so much, changing the whole recipe or anything like that, but you may see more receivers involved. You may see more running backs involved because he's not out there. So I'm really excited to see Georgia's offense because I think they've talent-wise, this may be the most talent Kirby's ever had on that side of the football. Not saying individuals, but I'm just saying as a group. So what does that look like week 5, week 6? I think this is going to be an electric offense.
Yeah. All right. Final one, Shane. We always got to get a food question in here if we can.
Yeah, come on now.
Michael Raleigh, friend of the show, big Florida guy. What's your go-to ice cream, Shane? And he's asking just a flavor.
Like, I'm going to act like I'm thinking about it. Ben and Jerry's fish food. Come on now. Have you had it?
Fish food? I don't think so.
Oh, well, don't. Because, well, let's be fair. I've got two. Now, if it's I love the Magnum.
It depends
caramel.
on what mood you're in here.
Yeah, those Magnum caramel deals. Oh, brother, come on, I can eat some of them. And it's good if you leave them out just a little bit. Just don't go in. It's a whole process. But if those are my two ice creams right there. I didn't grow up.
We can go another hour on Shane's ice cream.
Growing up, we didn't have all these fancy flavors. Like you remember that Neapolitan. You started out with the chocolate, and you're like, all right, I'll do the vanilla. And then you find your fat ass eating over there on the pink side. That's what I grew up to. My grandfather liked butter pecan, but I became to like butter pecan. That's all they had. So Moose Tracks, when it first came out, was a total game changer. I'm like, where's this been my entire life? I was Mike size before Moose Tracks came out. Then I've been blossoming ever since.
And I'll go with the classic, Shane, vanilla with cookie dough Ben and Jerry's. I mean, you can't beat that. I don't think
you can't beat any of it. You can't beat a good vanilla with that hot fudge syrup. Not that cheap Hershey stuff, unless they're a sponsor. I love it, but they're not. That Smucker stuff, you kind of heat up in the microwave a little bit.
Oh yeah,
I'm on a diet, kind of.
Yeah, let's stop talking about this.
I got a heart doctor appointment tomorrow. I got to slow down on these beers, man.
All right, brother. Anything else before we hop off the line?
No, again, we're a month away from college football, so get your shit together. All right, go ahead and let everybody know the weddings are off. You're not going to them. You'll send them a gift card to Lowe's or something. But hey, it's time to lock in and have some fun. Drink some cold beer. I can't wait for this hot weather to go away. I'm looking forward to fall and chilly and all that good stuff that comes with it, brother. But yeah, I'm excited. It's in the air, man.
Yep, we got the video game. We won't mention what just happened, but I mean, it's going to fly by here, Shane. We're having a great time.
It feels like, I can't believe you. So me and Mike haven't played each other in, 14 years, something like that? Yeah. It felt like the Texas A&M deal, and he beats me by a 2-point conversion at the last second. It was a hell of a game, but I got to go back to the drawing boards. Apparently I suck at. I'm terrible at this. That's why I'm not streaming. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm so cocky that I would just pick up college football and it'd be like the old days. No, I've got left behind.
Yeah. Hey, Liquid Shane, he says, I'm sending the cardiologist a link to this podcast. Well, I think that's a perfect place to end this one, brother. I appreciate you. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you. Again, the football season's right around the corner. Stay tuned. If you haven't already, like, subscribe. Please share this. That's the main thing you can do to help us is get people anybody that you know that may enjoy Two Idiots Talking SEC Football. There's going to be emergency shows. There's going to be all kinds of crazy stuff. Whenever there's an update, if you want an emergency pod, that was my favorite thing last year, Shane. I was like, will they even like these emergency podcasts? And then next thing I know, like, a quarterback gets injured, they're like, where's the emergency podcast? So hit us up if you want us to go live. And hell, I'm available 24/7. So I'm just so fired up for football, Shane. This is going to be the best season ever, and I can't wait for it.
Available 24. All I thought it was my secondary on the video game. Just wide open. Like the 7-Eleven.
But all right, buddy, we'll catch you on it next time. Thank you, each and every one of you. Later.
See you guys. Go Vols.